Dear students, in this second session, we discuss some of the questions regarding motion in straight line. Say, first question we read. Say, an object is dropped from rest. Its velocity v changes in the following forms. Say, we know when it is dropped, it is freely falling. Freely falling means we can apply the relation v square equals u square plus 2as. S means h here, height. Therefore, we get the formula for v as root of 2ah as u is 0. That means v proportional to root of the displacement h or s. Therefore, it's a square root equation. Option 2 is correct because v proportional to root of h. A body thrown upwards reaches height and comes back. Which of the following is true about the acceleration due to gravity? Observe here. Acceleration due to gravity, we know always it is downwards. We read one by one. It varies continuously with maximum at the beginning and 0 at the top. It's wrong because it's always a constant. It only changes the sign when the body is at the top. It's also wrong because acceleration due to gravity is always downwards. It remains constant throughout. Definitely that is true. Because the fourth one, it varies but never changes. No, it's also wrong. So option 3 is correct. In the third question we read, 2 stones are thrown from top of a tower, one straight down with an initial speed u and second straight up with the same speed u. When the stones hit the ground, they will have speeds in the ratio. Say, we write a figure here. It's a very simple idea and there's no need for us to calculate anything. Say, if you imagine this is the tower and you are throwing one stone up, so it goes and comes down and you are with velocity u, and with the same velocity you are throwing another stone down. This is second stone and this is first stone. This is down. Now we are asked to calculate what is the ratio of the speeds when they reach. Say, observe here, at this point, when it goes up, the stone which is going up, when it reaches this point all the way down, when coming down, its velocity is u downwards, where same as the second stone velocity. Therefore, both these stones will have the same velocity when they start downward journey at the height of the tower. Therefore, they must reach the ground with the same speed. Therefore, option 1 is correct. The ratio of the speeds is 1:1. So, option 1 is correct. So, fourth question now we think of. A body moving along a straight line with uniform acceleration covers 20 centimeter in 1 second and 30 centimeter in the next second. The body has an acceleration. Here we can use a formula where the distance is traveled in consecutive intervals of time connected to acceleration. Say, we write acceleration of a body which is moving with uniform acceleration is given by s2 minus s1 by t square, where s2 and s1 are the distance traveled in consecutive intervals of time, where and t is the interval of time. If we apply this relation here, say 30 minus 20 divided by t in 1 second, time is 1 second, say 10 centimeter per second square is the answer because 30 minus 20 is 10 divided by 1. So option 1 is correct. Now, fifth one, a body falling from rest describes distance s1, s2, s3 in the first, second, third second of the fall. The ratio of s1, s2, s3, it is just Galileo's idea when An object is uniformly accelerated. Here it is freely falling body. It always covers the distances in equal intervals of time in the simple ratio of odd numbers, that is 1:3:5. Therefore, option 2 is correct. Option 2 is correct. Now we think of sixth question. A body projected vertically up with velocity u returns to the starting point in 4 seconds. If g is 10, value of u, observe here, a body projected vertically upwards with velocity u returns to the same starting point in 4 seconds. Say t is given 4 seconds and displacement s or h equals 0 because it comes back to the same level, and a is g, 10. So we are asked to calculate u. We simply take this formula, s is equal to ut minus of gt square. Why I took u positive? Because it is upward in the beginning. The net displacement is 0, g downwards. Therefore, I simply write from this as s is 0, u equals half gt, cancelling one t there. Substitute everything, you will get the value of u. Half into 10 into t is 4. So 2 2s are, that is 20 meter per second. Option 4 is correct. Going for this, an aeroplane is flying with a uniform speed of 100 kilometers per hour along the circumference of a circle. The change in the velocity in half the revolution will be, say, let me write a figure for this like this. This is a circular path in which airplane is moving. Say, in one point of time, its velocity is like this. In the other point of time, after completing the half the revolution, velocity is like this. Change in velocity, you remember velocity is a vector. Change in velocity delta v is v minus of minus v because directions are opposite. Therefore, v plus v, 2v there. 2 into 100 is 200. Option 1 is correct. Option 1 is correct. So, eighth question we think of now. A balloon rises from the ground with an acceleration of 1.25 meter per second square. After 8 seconds, a stone is released from the balloon. This stone will, 4 options we read. Cover a distance of 45 meters in reaching the ground. Have a displacement of 50 meters. Begin to move downwards after being released. Reach the ground in 4 seconds. A third option can be eliminated because as balloon is moving up, initially once we leave the stone, it has to move slightly upwards and then come back because of its initial upward velocity. So third option is eliminated. Now we start thinking of it. Say this is the balloon bag from where a stone is released. It is the ground at height h. When it is released, the stone is having some velocity u, we say, and balloon acceleration 1.25. Now we do one thing. First we calculate the height of the balloon it is when it is released. So time is given 8 seconds. To calculate the height of the balloon, you can take the initial velocity of the balloon u dash as 0. Therefore, balloon height h is equal to, using ut plus half at square, half a 1. Let me write the formula, half 1.25 into t square, 8 square. But observe 1.25 can be written as 10 by 8 into 8 square, cancel 1, say 2 5s are, so 40 meter. Height of the balloon when stone is released is 40. From this we can conclude something like this. The stone, even though it goes up and it has to come down, therefore net displacement only 40. So second option is also wrong. Therefore, stone displacement 50 is wrong, and covers a distance of 45 meters in reaching the ground, that we have to think of. Before that, we calculate the time taken by the stone to reach the ground. Say, how to calculate the time taken by the stone to reach the ground? We have to calculate the velocity of the stone at that point when the stone is released, that is velocity of the balloon itself. We use V equals U plus AT to calculate. V equals 0 plus 1.25 into T, 8 seconds. That means again 10 by 8 into 8, 10 meter per second is the velocity of the balloon after 8 seconds. That is also the velocity upwards of the stone after 8 seconds. So taking that as the initial velocity, we calculate the time interval in which it falls down. So I take S is equal to ut plus half at square, half gt square. Now for the stone after it is released, S is given, it is 40, because height at which the stone is reached is 40. And U we have calculated, what is nothing but velocity of the balloon. Say it has to come down, therefore displacement of the stone is minus 40, U 10, because the stone is going up because of the initial velocity of the due to the balloon, into T, and say displacement is downwards, this is upwards. Again G, it is downwards, I can take it as 10 approximately T square. So it is 5. Writing it in the quadratic equation form, 5t square minus 10t minus 40 equals, so our t square minus 2t minus 8 equals 0, which amounts to be t equals 4 seconds. Therefore option 4, after solving this quadratic equation, will get 4 seconds. Therefore fourth option is correct. We think of the ninth question now. From the top of a tower, stone is thrown up, which reaches the ground in time t1. A second stone is thrown down with the same speed, reaches the ground in time t2. The third stone released from the rest from same location reaches the ground in t3. So here the picturization is like this for the problem. Say if this is the tower, one stone is thrown up and it reaches the ground. We call its initial velocity u1. Second stone from the same height from the top of the tower thrown down and its initial velocity u again, u2, what we call as u. Next, third stone simply released, u3 is 0. It is released. So time taken by the stone 1 is t1, t2, t3. We have to estimate relation between t1, t2 and t3. Observe, in all these three things, displacement remains for all the three stones. We write the equations of displacement. For first stone, h equals, say displacement is downward, so I write minus u t1, displacement up downwards, u upwards, and g downwards of g t1 square. This is for first stone. And for second stone, Same thing h, displacement downwards, but velocity is also down, u t2, and g is also down, half g t2 square. For third stone, h equals u0 half g t3 square. Say, in all these things, displacement remains same. So going for first and second stone, we call it as equation 1 and this equation 2. If you go for calculation of this, we can do it like this. Say, we can equate first two equations. First two, minus ut1 plus half gt1 square equals ut2 plus half gt2 square. And also for third one, same thing, we can equate it with second also, we get the relation, but before that, we do it like this. Say, we rearrange the terms there like this. I take T1 onto this side, so T1 plus T2, ut1 plus T2, this side half G, let me write it this way, half G T1 square plus T2 square, T1 square minus T2 square, T1 square minus T2 square, and from this T1 minus T2 can be written as T1 plus T2, T1 minus T2, so that goes U. Now I write U as, cancelling T1 plus T2 there, half G T1 minus T2 because A square minus B square formula. Once we know U, we can straight away go for T3 calculation by equating second and third equation and substituting for U. Finally, you will get T3 after simplifying T3 as root of T1 into T2. Say what you are supposed to do, substitute the, say equate second and third equation, substitute for U from this, you will get the final answer T3 equals T1 root of T1 and T2. So option 3 is correct. Now we think of 10th question there. From top of a tower, two stones whose masses are in the ratio 1:2 are thrown, one straight up with initial velocity u and second thrown down straight down with same speed u. The neglecting the air resistance, we read all the four. The heavier stone hits the ground with higher speed. The lighter stone hits the ground with higher speed. Both stones will have same speed when they hit the ground. Speed can't be determined with the given data. So we read, what is that given? Two stones, one bigger and one smaller. It is m and this is 2m in the ratio. They are thrown straight, one straight up with initial velocity u, say one straight up u, one straight down u, neglecting the air resistance, which is true among the four things. Say one is thrown up, one is thrown down, but as we know, this also comes down and this comes down with the same velocity down. Therefore, both the stones will have same speed when they hit the ground. It is the similar problem what we did earlier also. So question number answer option 3 is right. 11th question we think of. Look at the graphs 1 to 4 carefully and indicate which of these possibly represents one-dimensional motion of a particle. In the first case, we just go through all the four. In the first case, speed versus time is given. Speed is a scalar which cannot be negative, so it is impossible. Second, here it is like a loop. It is displacement versus time graph. It means at two positions, object must be at the given time, single time. That's also impossible. Here, third, velocity versus time graph. Here also, at the same time, the object must have two velocities, which is also impossible. Therefore, fourth option is correct. Because, say here, displacement versus time, it's a single curve where no crossings, no negatives. Therefore, fourth option is correct. Going for the 12th one. A train moving with a velocity of 36 km per hour takes 14 seconds to cross the bridge of length 100 meter. The length of the train is, say, we imagine this is the bridge. This is the road and train is here. This is train. And we imagine train length to be LT and bridge length to be LB. Bridge length is given to be 100 meters. And speed of the train V given to be 36, which amounts to be 10 meter per second, because we do that. V is 36 kmph, 36 into 5 by 18, which gives us meter per second, 10 meter per second. So velocity is known now. As there is no acceleration, in the 14 seconds, train covers a distance of, in 14 seconds, train covers a distance of train engine. Starting point we can take. How to calculate that? S is equal to ut. U is 10, T is 14, 140 meters. So total distance covered like this, say, train will be here, its backside will just cross the bridge. So now train will cover a distance of 140 there. Therefore, length of the train, this also LT, length of the train, LB, bridge LT, length of the train, it should be equal to 140 now. Therefore, LT equals 140 minus LB, 140 minus 100, which amounts to be 40. So, length of the train is 40 meters. Second option is correct. Thirteenth one. We'll try like this. We read. A body is projected vertically upwards. Say in the 13th question we read, a body is projected vertically upwards. The times corresponding to the heights h while ascending and while descending are t1 and t2 respectively. Then the velocity of projection is, say g is acceleration due to gravity. We write the figure now. Say body is projected vertically up. Say it is projected like this. Its path is like this. Say this is the height h. And time t1 here and t2 here. We straight away go for the calculations. Say it is like this. We start with the calculation for say G and T, T1, T2 relation by writing expression for H. Observe, for At time t1 or t2, the height is h, the displacement is h. So I write the formula for first thing, say while it is ascending. Ascending formula is the height covered is h, u is also upwards, ut1 minus of gt1 square. Descending, I write. Descending, same height h. Now the velocity is, say, ut2 minus of gt square, gt2 square. So equate these two, we'll get the final answer. Say in both the things displacement remains same. We equate them. U t1 minus half gt1 square, ut2 minus half gt2 square. So we can write this u into t2 minus t1, taking this onto this side, we get half gt2 square minus t1 square like this. Say this can be written as half g t2 minus t1, t2 plus t1, u t2 minus t1. Cancel this. So we get half g t1 plus t2. That means first option is correct. Now we think of the 14th question. We read it. A body of mass m moving along a straight line covers half of the distance with speed 2 meter per second. The remaining half of the distance is covered in two equal intervals of time with speed 3 and 5. The average distance traveled, average speed of the particle for entire journey. Say it's a two-part journey. We think this has S there. Total distance from starting point to initial point. Half of this, say first half of this is covered with velocity. We call it as v1, 2 meter per second. And second half, the remaining half of the distance is covered in two equal intervals of time. Say the distances covered may be different. Here it is with 3 meter per second, I call it as V2, and this is V3, I call it as 5. The time intervals are same there. Observe, we know average velocity, when time intervals are same, the formula is, say, average velocity. When time intervals are same, formula is V1 plus, say, V2 plus V3 by 2. That means 5 plus 3 by 2, it is 4. So once we calculate average velocity for the second half of the journey, now we have two equal distances covered with first V1 2 meter per second, second average velocity 4 meter per second. Now the situation like this. Say this is 2 and here this we may call as V2 or V4, which is 4. Here distance are same, half and half. Therefore, here we know the average velocity formula, V average dash, I can take it as 2V1 V4 by V1 plus V4. This is the formula when we have distances equal, so we substitute. Therefore, 2 into 2 into 4 by 6, 2 3s are 8 by 3 is the answer. So, third option is correct. Now, We think of 15th question. A train is moving with a constant speed 2 meters per second in a straight track. A passenger in the train starts walking at steady speed of 2 meters per second to the back of the train in the opposite direction of the motion of train. So to an observer standing on the platform directly in front of the passenger, that the velocity of the passenger appears to be, say, observe, it is the train and in which passenger is here, and one more is observing him straight in line from platform. Say this is platform and this is train. Train is moving like this. This person is moving like this. 2 meters per second, 2 meters per second. Looking from the view of platform observer, as the train moves 2 meters per second, right side, passengers tries to move 2 meters per second in the left side. Therefore, he, as the observer on the platform, can see only zero velocity because as train moves 2 meters to the right, passenger moves 2 meters to the left. So, the passenger seems to be standing at rest. Therefore, option 1 is right. Going for the 16th question, we read. In the 16th question, we read, a particle is moving eastward with a velocity 5 meters per second. In 10 seconds, the velocity changes to 5 meters per second northwards. The average acceleration in this time. So, we first write down the figure. The particle travels eastward. That means we write the first directional figure. If it is north, it is south, east, west. Now we write the figure according to the problem given there. A particle is moving eastward with a velocity, that means this way. It is eastward. Velocity is 5 meters per second. Next, it moves northwards like this. This is 5 meters per second. Now, what is the acceleration? Average acceleration. Average acceleration formula is change in velocity by time taken. Change in velocity is Vf minus Vi by delta t, the time taken. Vf, say, how to create minus Vi? We do this like this. Just observe. I write towards north like this, 5 meters per second. This is our V1 or Vi, initial velocity. Next, minus Vi, say, sorry, this is Vf, final velocity. Now, we want minus Vi. For that, it is, if it is eastward, the initial velocity is eastward, then the minus of that is in the opposite direction. This is our minus Vi. Then, the resultant of these two will give us delta V. Therefore, I write the delta V this way. By completing the parallelogram, we can write delta V like this. Say this is our Vi and this is our Vi and this is our Vf there. So, what we can write now is the magnitudes, as both the things are 5 and 90 degree between them, magnitude of delta V is root of 5 square plus 5 square, which amounts to be 5 root 2 delta V, change in velocity. Therefore, acceleration A equals delta V by delta t, 5 root 2 by 10, that is A equals 5 2s, so 1 by root 2. The direction If it is north, it is west. Therefore, towards northwest is the direction. Northwest direction. So, 1 by root 2 meter per second square towards northwest. So, first option is correct. Going for the 17th question, we read. A car moves from A to B with a speed 30 km per hour, B to A with speed 20 km per hour. What is the average speed of the car? Average speed of the car means, say, as the distance remains same, we simply think of the average speed as the formula 2v1 v2 by v1 plus v2 as the distance remains same. So 30 into 20 divided by 30 plus 20, which amounts to be 230, 20 divided by 50. Cancel this one. So 6 2s are 12, 12 2s are 24 is the answer, 24 kilometer per hour. Therefore, option 2 is correct. Next is 18th question we think of. A body starts from rest, moves with constant acceleration for t seconds. Say, we write it like this. This is the origin, we imagine. It travels a distance x1 in the first half of the time. Say, in t by 2, the distance covered is x1. And in next t by 2, next half of the second time, x2 is the distance covered. So, what is relation between x2 and x1? We know when object is uniformly accelerated, the distance covered in consecutive equal intervals of time are in the ratio, simple ratio of odd numbers, that is 1:3. Therefore, x2 should be 3x1. So, option 3 is correct. Now going for 19th question. A car moving with a speed of 50 km per hour can be stopped by brakes after at least 6 meters. If the same car is moving at 100 kilometers per hour, the minimum stopping distance. We know the stopping distance formula is S is equal to U square by 2A, where final velocity is taken to be 0. This is from V square equals U square plus 2AS. Now, we write for the first one, S1, which is 6, equal to U1 square, 50 square by 2A. Same acceleration taken. S2, we have to calculate. But now the 100 square by 2A. Therefore, S2 by S1 is 100 square by 50 square. That means S2 by S1 is 2 square, which is 4. Therefore, S2 is 4 S1, 4 into 6, 24 meters. Therefore, option 3 is correct. Now going for the next question we think of, we read. The displacement time graph of two moving particles make angle of 30 degree and 45 degree with x-axis. The ratio of their velocities. Say displacement time graph slope will always gives velocity, we know. Therefore, slope means tan theta. Therefore, we can write simply tan 30 by tan 45, it is V1 by V2, that is 1 by root 3 by 1 or 1 is to root 3. Therefore, option 1 is correct. There we conclude this session of motion in straight line CET class. We continue next in the next session with motion in plane.